Now, I think the slide that you share to everyone, some of them cannot get access to the slide. It asks them to enter username and password and get permission from you. I think this is what they said. So maybe you just like have a look whether you share to everyone or you just share to particular, like just some username, or you just share to PKIU staff only. Maybe you just change to share to everyone who can get access, but view only, not edit, unable, cannot edit. Anyway, just have a look, have a check. God, what happened? What you try to explain to me? Are you helping Jason or?
If we present, there's only 3 presentations. Either you're going to present tabs, windows, or the entire screen. I can. Okay. I can.
Okay. Okay. Don't worry. You just share the screen first. And about the slide permission for them to get access, you can let them know again. Okay. Good. Yeah, that one. Thank you, Jason. Oh, cool.
Okay. So is everybody seeing the slides?
Yep.
All right. Let me. Over here and
sorry, I can't see any slides. I'm not sure where they are or what you're talking about.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure how this is going. If you guys haven't got, I think don't worry about the slides right now. I think what we want to do is actually get on with Meet. And if I'm presenting, actually, I'm not sure how this is going to go. I thought this was going to give me a. Stop presenting. This is a lot different than I thought it was going to be. Actually, we might be in trouble
already.
Yeah, all right, the outset. Okay, I think in that case then. In that case, can you see the slides now?
See your home screen.
Yeah, we see your folders.
You can't see the slides.
We see your folder directory here in Google Meet.
Jason, now everyone see your folder because you share your screen, entire screen. So you just move your mouse to the presentation slide, and I think they will see too. You just share your screen, the entire screen like that. And after that, you move your cursor to the presentation application. And I think everyone will see the presentation too. Yeah, just do it. Yeah, like that. Yeah. Okay, you're sharing. And after that, you just move your mouse to the application. Don't worry about that thing anymore. Yeah. And yeah, you see, everyone will see that. Yeah, good. So we will see.
Can everyone see the
screen
slides?
as like what
it sounds like some of them aren't.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Sure.
All right. So in that sense,
thank you, Jason.
This is going to be difficult. I thought I was going to actually have the ability to actually have Meet. But of course, I'm presenting. I think it's a bad misforesight on my part, because I can't actually run through this as in show you it in motion. So I think for this lesson, what we'll do is we'll just go through the slides. And like I said, they're a step-by-step approach. So if you get to the slides, like I said, you can click on the Control F, and that'll bring up this box here. And what that will do is you can then type in something like extensions or whatever part of the slides that you're looking for, and then it'll automatically jump down to that slide and stuff. So Google Meet, how to use it to conduct online lessons in Ratchet. There are different ways to access the Google Meet. So if you go up to the top right-hand side up here, you'll see these 9 squares. That is one way to access what we call the extensions. Google Meet in itself is an extension. And once you click on that, you'll find you get all of these extensions down here. Now these extensions, and you can drag these around, by the way, and put them into sort of order, whatever order you want, stuff like this. But you'll come here, and then you'll see you have Google Meet down here. You just click on that, and that will give you access to a meeting. Another way that you can do that is type in the URL. Any of these applications that you see in Google, for example, you just write the name of the application before the google.com, and that should take you directly to that application. Once you're in the application, in fact, why don't I increase that? Once you're actually in the application, you'll see you've got some options along the top there. This is just dates and stuff. It doesn't do anything. Your first option is a troubleshoot meeting. So this, if it gives you sort of a troubleshoot thing, but I think if I'm not correct, Peter, I think the admin are going to have a certain level of control about what can be done in these meets. Is that right? Like if we want something sort of activated, like video recording, stuff like that, we'd have to go through the administration. Hang on, I think I have an idea, actually. I think I have an idea. Oh, I've got an idea. Yeah, well, I'm doing that. So, can you now see Google Meet? This will be better. Hang on.
Yes.
So I'll be able to run through it, but much better like this. Right, this is how I'm going to do it. Hang on. Can you just... Right, okay, so when you get to Google, right, so when you get to Google Meet, you've got these options. So you've got join a start a meeting, and you've got teaching online. So if we come up here, we have these first options up here, and it's like you can track meet quality statistics, all that thing. So it's just for you to sort of troubleshoot something over there. But like I said, I think there's some restrictions on any of that stuff that you do. The next thing you'll see are your settings. Now, before you enter into a meeting, settings is a good thing to just go into and just make sure. Now, you'll see as I'm talking, you should see the microphone icon here is actually working. It's actually in motion and stuff, and that shows that your microphone's fine. Now you can click on some different microphones if you want to choose or your defaults. You've also got like testing to test whether that's being done. Click over here, you've got your video settings. Again, you can see yourself on screen, and that shows that your video is actually working. You can change your camera, of course, if you've got sort of different camera options and stuff like that. So I would say that before every lesson, go in there, check your settings first, make sure that you've got sound and video working, everything before you actually. This is really annoying the way this keeps coming up. Hang on. Before you actually go in there. Right. So moving across over here, you have. This is basically this is a feedback message. If there's been some problem and you need some sort of IT support or something, send this. This is back to Google though. You can include a screenshot here or not, up to you. So if you click on that, it gives you the ability to include a screenshot. So you can click to highlight or hide information. Right, so you've got highlighter here on the left, but if you want to hide some information, for example, you might want to, I don't know, hide your cute face or something, or if you have some information on whatever screen that is that you're on that time, you can actually highlight that particular point, that information. Then when you're done, you just you accept all these terms and conditions, and you send that off, and that sends that off to Google. So it's quite a neat little function, but I'm not sure how much response you would get. Right. So once you've checked out your settings, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to want to join or start a meeting. There are different ways that we're going to show you how to do this. So you'll come in and give your meeting a name, whatever you want to call it. what do we want to call a meeting? Somebody give me a name. Let's just call it meeting, right? Because we're a meeting. That's fine, but obviously you want to call it something appropriate for your class. So you've then joined a meeting. Let me check, because now I'm in 2 meetings. Do you guys still see everything okay? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. Now, if I join this meeting, this is I didn't test this actually because I didn't actually consider this, but then I've then got 2 Google meetings open, and there might be some issues here. But let's carry on and see how we do. One thing I did notice, if you don't see an option to start a meeting here, that might be that there's some kind of administration problem. Like I said, the Ratchet University are certainly going to be responsible for a lot of the admin for this Google account that they have and stuff, and whether they've allocated or given you privileges, that might be an issue. And it might also be an issue for your students. So if you're about to enter a lesson, and so maybe you've got some students and they're like on your line and I can't join a meeting or whatever and stuff, it might be that they just they haven't been allocated admin or added to the list or something. So that's something to consider. Okay, so right, I think we can take also a look at, that's really annoying. We have now, being Google, there's a lot of things that can be integrated with this. It's a very integrated system, which is great. If you kind of want to go that way now, so you can look at Gmail, for example. I'm not sure this is the wrong Gmail. That one issue, and it's one I'm just having right there, is that you've probably got your own Gmail account, and what you'll need to make sure that you're using the university Gmail account. One thing is, even if you use Google Classroom and you're using it for your personal account, it's not a paid thing, and it's very limited, so you won't be able to use all of the functionality. And 2, of course, you want to keep everything all related to that account for security, if nothing else.
Jason?
Yeah.
Yeah, in your emails right there, you have our requests for the slides. Maybe you can accept them. We can download them, so it'll be easier for you, maybe.
So I have to actually. I thought it was Got that gave out those slides. Hang on.
There's a link in the chat, which will, if you click on the link, you can access the slide.
In the chat.
Yeah, the chat on the top right, the chat icon.
Over here. Okay, this link here. Oh, okay. So that's opening these. I didn't know that. That's great. So well, that's a good lesson. So you're seeing my whole window. We'll go through those options as we go on, so it doesn't matter. So you should be able. Can everybody see those slides now?
I see them on your screen, but I don't have them to download or anything.
Right. Okay. That's the Gmail thing. Don't worry about downloading them now. We'll. In fact, don't worry about this.
All right.
I don't want to spend time going through.
So I just click on the link and you'll see them. It's quite easy.
So sorry, say what?
No, you need a request for it. I just clicked on the link. It's blocked.
Oh, that's weird because I clicked on the link and it opened up. So,
Yeah, it's not doing it for everyone.
Yeah, we're opening up. I think we're going to be opening up a can of worms there that we don't want to get into right now. To be honest, that's something we'll address afterwards. That's not going to be an issue with your students unless you're only running through these things like this I wouldn't suggest doing this in Meet. When we get onto Classroom, you'll see that there's a whole better set of tools in order for sharing or viewing, for your students viewing and sharing slides and stuff like that. I would advise just using Meet in order to, house the for the video of that and stuff. And I'll show you how this is integrated with Google Classroom in order to do that more effectively. But sorry guys, I don't want to open up that can of worms right now with this with these slides. It's not necessary for you to see them right now. If it is, I'll go over to those and let you see them as is. These slides really are for your, like I said, for your review afterwards. They're done in a step-by-step process, and everything I go through today will be going through in the same process as is given in the slides, and then you can go back and remind yourself later on. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, cool. Right, so where are we? So Google, in terms of Meet, still you can start meeting within the Google Gmail. So you can start a meeting here or join a meeting here. And of course, you've also got calendar, so you can start scheduling meetings and stuff like this. But I'm presuming that all of this is going to be, you're going to have a class list given to you. It's already going to be sort of sorted by the admin, so that when you give a link, the students are going to join. How the students are going to be familiar with actually joining this, I think this is something we need to kind of address here actually, is, are they going to have some practice about joining a Meet before we start giving our classes? Because, we know that even if you have a change of classroom, trying to get them into a classroom and settle down and stuff is difficult with brick and mortar. But with 60 students coming online, and not knowing the technology themselves, it's very difficult to guide people from a different location as to what they should be doing, especially with the language problems that you're going to have. So that's, I think, something that we do need to address as we move on. So keep a note. Somebody keep a note of some points for me as we go through that actually, and we'll need to discuss these things in the Q&A sessions. Right. Okay. So where are we? So you've got Gmail. You can join a meeting. If we go back there, let me just go back there quickly. So you can join that meeting, start a meeting there, or join a meeting in Gmail. One point of warning about doing that I discovered was if you add an external guest, and I'm not sure whether your administration privileges will allow you to add external guests. I'm not sure why you want to actually if you're a branch back class, but adding external guests to any of these options when you're trying to start a meeting down here, it generally goes into your junk mail. So if you ever have problems with that, then direct your guests to take a look in their junk mail. Calendar. So again, we've got another option, of course, and all of your, you see now this is where it gets a bit because you've got your personal Gmail account and you've got your Ratchapat one. And while you're running through these windows, sometimes you need to make sure, just keep an eye on the different accounts. And you can see you've got your PKRU badge up here to make sure that you've got your right account, which is good. Keep an eye on that. Where are we? So any of your apps, as I said, are going to be over here. We'll go through some of these apps as we go along. Calendar is a great way to, of course, schedule all of these lessons and meetings and stuff. So you can just double click on this, put your information in, as you would do with a description of that, and you can send invitations out that way. You'd have to have a list. Now, who's still in the meeting? Did Peter go? Gott, do you know how the students are actually going to get invited into these lessons? How they're actually going to get started?
The student, you need to have their email first, so that you can put their email to the calendar, or the other way, you set the room first, and then you send the link to the student to join to the Google Meets.
You mean we're going to send out 200 emails inviting students to join?
No. If you have a line group, you just send like I send you, invite you this time.
Right. Yeah. So okay. So what I think most of you probably do is you get a class list. I would suggest obviously what I was doing even with brick and mortar teaching is I got bored of having this massive list of students in my line. So I would grab the class leader, and I would send any information to that class leader, and they would then send all that information to the class as a whole. So it can somebody, I'm not making notes. Can somebody make some notes as we go along? Because I'm going to be busy running through this. One of the things we actually want to discuss is can we get hold of the class leaders before we start actually teaching online, and make sure that they understand, we sort of have some communication with them and they understand. And I would suggest that that's probably, by the sound of it, that's probably going to be the best method then, because you're not going to want to send out all of these group things all the time. Right. Certainly something we need to address. How we're going to get people into the class, I think, is the best way. But let's carry on with the presentation. Calendar, right? So you can come in and you can schedule things in here. I'll show you one reason why that's good as we sort of progress and move along. Mobile phone apps. Now, of course, what's going to happen is that these guys are all going to be on their mobile phones, basically as a whole, right? Most of them are going to be on their mobile phones. There's some issues with that, as we'll go in, but they'll need to, again, we'll have to make sure everybody's got the app and stuff like that on their phone before we go into doing that. I'm sure you guys have got this sorted out already. But one of the things that I will say is consider viewing your slides. If you're presenting some slides, right, consider that they are going to be viewed on a mobile phone. The screen size is a lot smaller. There are some things to consider, and we'll talk about those in the Q&A stuff. And we'll go through the Q&A with some slides and stuff as well. Let me just say some of the things I think we need to consider with slides. Now, text size, of course. You've got a limited window size. So when you're preparing these slides, you're not going to want to overload these slides with too much information, because if they're just, on this kind of this small device where they're seeing this, I found that about 32 pixels seems to work about well and stuff. Navigation, so if you're using Google Docs or something like that integrated everything, you might be giving some kind of in-class test or something like that with using the forms or the docs. If they're on that, if you prepare, even when you prepare these documents, and so that's going to have to be another lesson, I think, but when you can prepare these documents, there are certain parts of those inputs that they've got to scroll across, and it, because they're on a small device, and it gets kind of messy and kind of difficult. So there's a lot of considerations when you're preparing your content that you're using. Prepare it with the consideration that it is going to be viewed on a very small device for most people, and test it on your device. Test all your content. Recording functions. Got, can I bring you back in again, please? Or not. I'm not sure what's going to happen with the recording functions. The only way to turn off the recording functions is by admin. So it would be by the university admin. We seem to have lost all the university people here. I'm not quite sure. The only way to turn off. Oh God, hi. I got another question. I have another question.
Yes.
There are legalities when you're recording. So when you're giving a class in Google, the legalities are that you're not. You have to tell people that you have the option of recording before that. Stuff like this. Are these classes going to have the recording function on or off?
The recording. Oh, it's how to say. It depends on your demand, I think.
Okay, I think that's something we need to talk about as well. Right. Whether we really want to have our lessons kind of recorded every time, or and there are legalities around that. Of course, us trying to tell people anything about the legalities and stuff isn't going to work. But right, so some things to consider before starting the class. You can see I'm wearing a headset. A headset is a very good thing to have. It makes a difference. This is a particularly cheap headset that I found for about 150 baht, but it seems to work quite well. I don't know, but I had another headset here that I used to use for online meetings. This one, but it made me look like an airline pilot, and and also. I didn't realize, but there was a small kick in the wire. So, and it kept cutting out until people were complaining. So, if you're using a headset, again, test everything. Test everything before you start going into your class and stuff. You can test it with somebody else. Just put your headset on if you're using a headset and. Test it that way. There can be a lot of echo and stuff if you don't use a headset. Your computer microphones are, nowhere near as good as using a headset. So I would advise getting a headset. I'm just about to get some new lighting put in up here. Your background is going to be something you want to consider. You don't really want it sort of be busy and stuff like that and detracting from everything. If you've got this, for example, this would then become backlight. It could be very distracting. So things you have to consider, things like also background noise. Close your windows and put your aircon on. Don't have your windows open, especially if you're in a noisy area. Background noise is very distracting for people online if they're trying to listen to you, especially with low-level English students if you're trying to explain stuff. So you've got lighting. Consider your lighting. Consider your background noise. Close your windows. Microphone. I would advise disabling your Wi-Fi and using your landline only. Of course, because your Wi-Fi is a much more limited bandwidth than using your connection. If you've only got Wi-Fi, then obviously that's not an option for you. If you have any problems while you're online, refresh your browser is a good way to go. That little icon at the top, circular icon and everything. And if you refresh your browser, sometimes that clears something. If your student is having a problem also, get them to refresh the browser. You've got drawing abilities, and we'll go into one of the we'll go into the whiteboard, a whiteboard that you can use in your class, which is quite good. And you can always draw these shapes of these icons and things, which will help. So refreshing the browser is the equivalent of the computer on off trick, if you like. Class management, we've got 60 online students. This is a slide that I'll bring back when we get into our discussions. I think we'll run past this now and get more into the technology until we get to that point. Starting a class. So here we are. If I go back here, that wasn't the one, was it? That wasn't the one. Yeah, okay. Right. So you've got join and you've got present. I would advise going into join first rather than present. One, because you're immediately in that sort of situation where you might not be ready for everything. So if you just join the class and then you can present afterwards. So your join option is here. Once you join in a class, the first thing that you get is, can everybody still hear me and see me now? I've got 2 classes open.
Yep.
All right, great. That's good news. Otherwise, this could have been a bit no. Right. So this is the first thing you're going to see. Don't worry about any of this information. All you care about is, are you going to add people? This isn't the best way to add people, I think. But copy your joining info. So, for example, if you've got some kind of list, if you just click on that, it's now copied to your virtual information, right? So, so now you can get rid of that, and we have you in full beauty. There you go. You have down here some more options. Here's your recording option. If you want to record, and you can change your layout. I would advise just keeping the same layout, certainly in the beginning anyway. We'll go through some of these options as we go, but again, you've got your settings, and these are the same settings that before I told you to check this before your class. But if at any time during a class something's going wrong and you need to check your settings again, do that down here. Just click down here and go into your settings and stuff. Use a phone call for audio. No, I think that's probably only set for America at this point anyway. And those are just standard kind of stuff that you're going to use. All right. Options. Yeah, we went into the options. Where are we? Let's push through. Right. Yeah. Now, so like I said, going back in, if you were going to use that add option back there and add people, you'd end up having to input their emails one by one. So that's not going to be an option. So you're just going to join a meeting, copy that info code if you need it. We've gone through the recordings, gone through that. Right. Down here, you will see meeting. That's what I named the meeting in the beginning before joining it. So whatever you call it, that's just going to be there. But you've got some more options down here. One, again, you've got the joining information. If you need to copy it to your clipboard, that's where you're going to get it there. 2, you have attachments here, and that's actually quite a handy thing for me, actually, because if let's say, for example, you put some if you went back to the calendar, right? So you go back to the calendar, you had you opened up a calendar, you arranged your meeting and stuff, and you can add your attachments in there, and then when everybody joins a meeting, you have a list of your attachments here, and you can access them straight away from there, which is quite a handy thing. Again, we're going to be using Classroom, and there's far better ways to do any of this stuff. I'm just going through all this technical stuff just to give you a run through of absolutely everything in Meet. But like I said in the beginning, I would advise I would advise definitely getting into Classroom in a big way rather than doing all of these options in the Meet application. Right, go back over here. There is a funky little thing. It's called turn on captions. A policeman pulled me over and asked me for my papers. I gladly gave him all of my students' essays to grade and drove off. Right, so you can see that's actually 100%. Right, these captions working pretty good. Now, I'm talking a lot faster now and in my kind of messed up accent and stuff. So one of the things you're going to need to watch out for here is punctuation or stuff like this. My advice would be not to have these on while you're delivering a lesson. It's probably going to be quite distracting. However, I would say that it might be quite useful if you are giving some instructions on an exercise and you want to just be very clear and you can, and if you turned on the captions just for that purpose, you might find that it might assist in understanding. It's not going to be easy to get everybody to understand your instructions with 60 people online for sure. Let's push through. Right, so presentation options. We have, if you come down here, if I stopped presenting now, I'd have all of these options, but you have 3 options. A Chrome tab, and of course, tabs are the things that go across your browser. If you only want to present what is in a tab, then rather than everything else on the screen, then do that. And as it says, that's best for video and animation. So why would that be good? If you prepared for a class before you've entered it, and maybe there's a YouTube video that you've got, but you don't want everybody to download it, you don't want to add it to your repository in Google Classroom and stuff like that, then what you would see, I'm presenting my whole screen to you. I wouldn't normally present my whole screen to you. I have to say I would normally just present, but it was a bit shaky when I started in this. So I would normally present a window, and that is all of these tabs are included in that anyway. But so that's a way that you can just sort of add stuff to your class, like a YouTube video or something like that, without actually having the issue of downloading or the entire screen. So you'll see all of my applications and everything like this. So I have nothing to hide. It's okay. But in terms of privacy and stuff, you're probably better just presenting a window. And that would be the browser window that you have open. And as you click through those tabs, then you'll see that you will see all of the differences of those tabs. And that's a really annoying thing that keeps happening. All right, I'm just going to push through. I'm open to questions. If you want to stop me at any time and ask questions, this is fine. We'll do it. It's a two-way dialogue. Right, as you see, that what you get is, now if we're over here, what you see is we've got all of you guys over here. I'm not sure how this is going to go with 60 students, all of these videos and stuff.
Hey, Jason.
Yeah.
I had a question. Do you know if there's a way to do like groups of students? Like have students get in like groups of 10, because it seems like it might mitigate some of the issues if we have like really large classes to kind of like manage smaller groups within the class. I don't know if there's a way to do that with the Google teaching thing. Yeah,
right. So you can see over here, if you click on that first link, you've got people and you've got chat. Now, I haven't thought about that myself. So I can't give you a definitive answer on that. I would say off the bat, Adam, I would say no. I doubt there is. However, if somebody who's I should have nominated someone for taking notes. Who's taking notes? Anybody?
Kate's taking notes.
Nice one, Kate. Thank you. If you click on that if you click on you when you're presenting, for some reason you get this chaos thing going on. It's just like it's like
infinity.
Windows within Windows within Windows. Yeah, it's a nightmare. And if you click on again, so you have to click on it again to get rid of it. So if you do that by mistake in class, click on it again, because it's clearly going to be quite distracting. So you've got these two icons at the top here. These are basically everybody that's in here. We've got 16 participants. You can see the number there. This is your chat window. I will go through that. That's going to be problematic. I can guarantee you chat windows are going to be problematic, but you've got a list of all participants in your class.
I have a quick question, Jason.
Sure, go ahead, go for it.
Is it possible to present through Google Classroom? Is there a video option there, or do you have to have those two separated?
Good question. Part 3 of the presentation. Tell you what we do when we do we've got two Q and there's 3 parts to this presentation in these slides. There's part 1, which is Google Meet. Then we're going to have a QA session. Sorry, I should have defined this better at the beginning. Then we're going to have part 2. Part 2 is going to go into the Google Classroom on its own. Then we are not going to have a Q&A session at that point, because part 3 is very brief. Part 3 is about the integration of Google Meet with Google Classroom, and that's something that's only just happened within the last month. So yes, there is, Simon, but if you'll allow me, I'll address that in the final Q&A or in the final part of the presentation.
All right.
Right, so what we focus, because what I want to focus on Meet individually as it is and not get confused with the two, and to do the same with the classroom and then the integration. So going back to your question, Adam, I don't know. I really, that's not something I've thought about. Organizing these students into groups in this section, I think, is what you're talking about.
Yeah. No worries. We could probably do it manually. I just didn't want to miss like some functionality that might make things easier for us.
Yeah, I don't think so. There is this thing though that you'll see if you roll over somebody, you can. It's not doing it for some reason. I am presenting. If I come into Adam, you see you've got, if you click on, as you go over, you've got these arrows that come down here. Now, if you click on that, you can mute them, right? I should be able to if I'm presenting. And you can even remove the participant from the class. So you have those options. For some reason, they're deleted, I'm not sure. But you can pin somebody to the class. So let's say, for example, if you are asking a student to stand up in the class and give a presentation or something, if you pin them there, because if people are leaving and going, the order of these things is going to start changing, and you're not going to be able to keep track of who's doing what. So you can use this, you can pin somebody there and they will be pinned in that position and stuff, so that everybody can continue to see them. Right, pin a presenter. Chat. You can't turn off chat here. So when you come into chat, you guys like you can't. Now, like I said, I think this is something maybe we might want to address, because if you've got all of your students and they're all chatting together and stuff, the same way they do in class, you know, there's going to be a whole lot of stuff going on here. It's all going to be in Thai. You're not going to be able to control it in any sense at all, because you can't turn it off or mute it or anything like that. That might be something we might need to address as well, whether we are going to, you know, allow the students be able to sort of be chatting with each other during the lesson, because that can't be turned off. I don't know whether there's an option that admin can turn that off. Does that make sense, Scott?
Yeah, admin can turn the microphone off.
Not the microphone, the chat window here.
Chat.
Chat, because all the students can use this chat window. And as far as I'm aware, it's actually, even in admin, we're not able to turn it off. So we might need to get some instruction on the students, maybe. I don't know. This is a Q&A question about how we're going to deal with that. But just for you to know now, we can't turn the chat window off. Right. Right. So here we are. Now, we have, let me get rid of these here. If we come back over here. Okay, so like I said, up in the top right-hand side here, you've got these 9 squares. And these 9 squares are extensions. Google Classroom itself is an extension. Hang on. And you see again, it's just automatically, it goes to my personal account. So you need to keep an eye on your accounts. If you start switching tabs, keep an eye on the account and make sure that you're still in the correct account while you're doing this. Now, these are extensions. Now, what's going to happen is, as far as I'm aware now, you'll see that we had Classroom up here in my personal account, but Classroom is down here, and I can't drag it for some reason. And I'm guessing that's because of this, something to do with the administration. These things you can drag around quite nicely. So if you want to rearrange these things and get the most important ones that you're going to use at the top, for example, put them in some kind of order, you can just drag them around quite easily. It's quite nice. There are an abundance of extensions, and this is called G Suite Marketplace, and they're all available to you within this account. As soon as you get like a paid account, which is what, of course, PKRU have, you now have access to a whole G Suite of extensions. And they come in a bunch of categories. If you look over on the left-hand side of the marketplace here, you'll see that you have some down here for education, for example, teacher and admin tools, stuff like that. So you can, I don't know how really useful most of these are going to be to you, because I think from my experience, it's better to keep it kind of simple, if I'm going to be honest. The one thing that you will for sure want to use is Jamboard. Why they call it Jamboard, I have no idea. But if you click on Jamboard, and Jamboard is a whiteboard, and I should say, actually, I should definitely say, this is great. This is really great. So a small tablet that you can actually draw on. It's gonna get harder. Some of you I know have online teaching experience, so you know what I'm talking about. You know that generally, if you teach online, the maximum students you're going to teach is about 6 students. It's going to get harder to get your message across, and it's a learning curve. And something like that, used in conjunction with Jamboard, can be quite useful. So, it still can be quite difficult, but it's way better than drawing a mouse. So Jamboard's great, so you can add your little, I don't know, Mohican Pixie or something, whatever you want to do. So you can go into Jamboard. It's not great at this point in terms of they don't have geometric shapes, but you can change colors, you can erase something, right? You can erase it out. You do your basics. If you want to copy and paste some text, they don't really have a good option for that. So let me come into that. So let's say, for example, I had this text, right? And I Control C, I want to copy that. I come into Jamboard, Control V, nothing. It doesn't go across there. You can copy images and then Control V and paste those onto the Jamboard. And you have clear frame here, you have a background, change the background, and you have a zoom here. So you can zoom in and out of the Jamboard, you can clear the frame, start again, so copy in text, there's a sticky note here. So you can copy that in, you can copy your text into the sticky note, save it, and then and cancel that, and then it gets posted up here, right? So that's the only option that you have in Jamboard at the moment to copy and paste text, but it works. You know, it's fine. It works. They are Jamboard has options for geometric shapes and on the mobile phone currently, but it doesn't for anything else. But so point is, Jamboard is one of your basic. Let me go back to the home. Jamboard is one of your basic standard stuff. Somebody's got some right. So here's an issue. Here's another issue. If somebody isn't on mute, Simon, can you put yourself on mute for me, please?
Put it on mute? Yeah, hang on.
So, right, okay, so you were probably experiencing exactly what I was experiencing, that kind of monk sound that's coming, and that was because one of the participants didn't have their mute on. And like I said, it's not going to be their fault. They've got something happening with their setup, or you know, or their microphone, or they got some background noise or something like this. This is with 60 students. This is going to be a big option, and this is something that needs to be addressed as well. There's a whole bunch of training that needs to go into these students. For example, you know, I'm sure this has all been thought of, but just to be sure, I think the students will need to be instructed that at all times they keep their microphones on mute unless the teacher actually is like, you know, contacts them and stuff like this. They'll also need to input their names what's the word I'm looking for? The nicknames in English and stuff. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to sort of say, okay, I want you to do this now. Hey, you get together in a group or whatever, unless they have their nicknames in English. So that plus they'll have to be kept on mute until they've been addressed in order to unmute themselves. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of sound issues, and it's going to be with 60 students. It's going to be chaos in terms of sound problems. Again, okay, so did you make a note of that one, Kate? That's a good one.
Yes.
Good job. All right, so you've got this. You know, like I said, initially I wouldn't worry about any of this stuff. What I would worry about is, you know, just your basic stuff that you've got down here. Some of this stuff you're already going to be familiar with, like docs and forms and stuff like that. Okay, let's continue.
Hey, Jason.
Sure.
Just to be clear, I think you said it before, but so you're saying we're going to have to sign in with our PKRU email to get access to the full Google Education Suite that PKRU has? Is that right?
Yeah, that is correct. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called a market. It's called the G Suite Marketplace, and G Suite is only a paid availability. All right, good question. Right, so warning, this is something I also want to address in the Q&A. Meet stays open if you leave and the students do not. So it's like, I don't know, I mean, brick and mortar, you walk out of a classroom, you leave your students in, that's fine. Whether you want this to actually happen you might want to stay in until everybody's gone out of the class to make sure. It depends how you kind of want to manage your class, macro, whatever and stuff. But just so you're aware, the meeting will not end until the last person leaves that meeting. Online clinic. This is something we kind of want to take a look at. I don't know how things are going to. I don't know how things are going to be for the online clinic when that actually comes about. I guess that's something we're going to need to address. Maybe not so scrupulously right now, but that's something we need to keep in mind. God, if this progresses for any period of time, certainly into the second period of this, where we start introducing clinic, how are we going to do that? How are we going to bring students in, stuff like this. Are we just going to be sort of sat on call at home the same way we would do in the library sort of thing, and then students can just kind of, there's a certain meeting code that they have for us at that time and stuff, but then they're going to have to get that meeting code all the time, so I think we need to have a think about the online clinic, because I think this is going to go on for quite a while, maybe. Right. Okay. Now let's have a Q&A session. That's the end of the Google Meet part 1. I've got some things that I think we can sort of discuss. Really, let's have a look at these slides while we're at this break section. In fact, what was our itinerary? Right. Let's have a look at these slides. Let's see if we can't get these slides to everybody. We were in Gmail, wasn't it? So does anybody have any suggestions about activating these slides for people?
Jason,
Yeah.
in meeting details, if you click on that at the bottom, there's a little part, meeting details at the bottom.
Yeah.
Kind of where your microphone on or off, or turn off camera. There's a place for attachments. Is there any way you can attach the slides here? As the presenter?
I'll tell you what I can do. And this is a good example of as far as I know, Google Meet really doesn't have any options for, like, if we come into Google Meet, like in here, we're actually in a meeting now. I can't send the files across here. Like if you're in Skype or something, you can just kind of drag and drop them in there. If you drag and drop files into this chat window right here, it just goes off onto that file itself and you lose the Meet. Now, when you try to go back to the Meet, you get disconnected from the Meet. So it's not a very effective way to do that. So I'm not going to do that. What I would do now is I'll enter into Google Classroom. And again, see, I'm already back in me. It's like, it's a nightmare, that thing. It's I've got to figure out how it works. Okay, so here we are in Google Classroom. No, hang on. I know what. Let me give you a link. I'm going to give you a link where you can just download the file. Yeah, it's quite a big file, but I've got it in Drive. So if that is in I've got it in Drive, not that Drive. Again, not that Drive. There is a way also, that brings me to a point that I haven't actually addressed in these slides. I'm just looking at it now. You've probably already used Google Drive, right? Now, if you've got something in here, right, I've got these are the slides online. You can right click on them and you can get a shareable link down here. And you've got to make sure, okay, got it. Make this a shareable, yeah. Okay, good. And over here, you've got copy link, right? I'm done. So now I can come back to the Meet, into the chat window, and there's no problem with sending a link across there. Okay, that will give you access to download. It's a bit big, it's nearly 10 megabytes because I've got video in there and all sorts of stuff. Give it a go though, guys. Download that and see how you get on. But like I said, we moved into the classroom now, and my advice is going to be use the classroom because that has all of the functionality that you really want in terms of you know, having all this documentation, sharing all this documentation and stuff like this, you know, keeping it all in one place, keeping it organized, everything like that. You know, use Meet for the meeting, and that's it. Really, and I said, so the only other thing it's good for is, like, you know, you'd have some tabs open already and you can kind of go through those things. Does that make sense, everyone?
Jason, can I ask you a question, please?
That's where we're at, the Q&A session, Gary. Good. I'm glad you got your microphone activated. What was wrong?
Yeah, I found it. Yeah. Can you please explain to me the PKRU Gmail?
What is it you want explaining about that exactly?
Well, I have a Gmail account, you know, but how do I register a PKRU Gmail account?
I'm not involved in the registration of accounts, so you'd have to address that with Got, I think. Got?
You just add new account. You go to your Gmail, your regular Gmail, and then you click Add Account.
Yes.
And then you write your PKRU email and the password that was given, which is PKRU123456, and you just follow the prompt.
So normally it's for me it'd be Gary.G.
I'm not sure what's going on, guys, because you're already registered. Your PKRU account is registered by PKRU. What is it?
It's quite straightforward. You go to google.com. You click on the top right. There's an icon, and then it just when you click on the top right, you can see Add Another Account.
Yes.
And then you click on Add Another Account, and that's where you add the PKRU Gmail account.
Okay, all right, I'll try that. Thank you.
Oh, I see. Right, yeah, thank you. Right, okay, good. Has everybody been able to access the slides?
I think the file is so large it hasn't downloaded, perhaps, all the way.
No, the reason, I just figured it out. The reason why some people can't see them is only the PKRU email has access to the slides. So you have to join the Meet with, or you have to open that link with the PKRU email. If you're doing it with your regular Gmail account, you're not going to be able to open it because it doesn't have permission. It's only permissions only people. The only people who can access the file are PKRU people, if that makes sense.
Right, yeah, that does make a lot of sense, because if that link was sent from within the system, then it's only going to be privileged for that system, a security function.
Yeah, so for me, I can see all the slides. I can open that link because I joined the Meet using my PKRU email address. That's why I can see them, and maybe not other people.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, it's going to be, like I said, vital to keep an eye on how you're logged in, because it just for some reason it has as you move through these tabs and things like that, you're going to be it's going to log you into your standard account, which is certainly not what you want. So keep an eye on that. Don't worry about the slides right now in terms of access. I think that's something we're going to need to address later on. We're going to need to do a test on that. So we got the Q&A session. Let's open up a Q&A session. So I think we've addressed the issue of recording. Have we? Are you going to take that one off, God?
Pardon? Sorry.
What are we going to do? What's going to happen about recording classes, or not recording, or not having control of recording, or
recording? I think it's better for recording.
So are we to assume that all of the classes that we're teaching are going to be automatically recorded?
Oh, no, we need to put the start button, start recording.
Right, okay, but in order to, like, I don't know how sort of pedantic you want to be about it, but there are legalities. I know we're in Thailand, but you're not supposed to hit the recording button until you've notified everybody in there that
you ask permission, right? Yeah,
you have to get permission of all attendees, and I'm pretty sure the government university will be there. Up to you. I think maybe we'll address that one down the line. What about disabling chat, or like, we can't disable chat? Does anybody want to add some suggestions about maybe what we can do about trying to manage that aspect of that thing, or do you feel that that's an issue?
I think you just tell the students that they can't type anything in Thai in the chat. It's just a rule.
Yeah, are you telling them that in Thai or in English, James? Because if I sat down in a classroom, let alone being online, I said, "Hey guys, make sure you don't chat everything," they just look at you and say, "I don't understand what you're saying." It's like, you know.
Well, I think they'll understand. Do not write anything. I think they'll be able to go.
Because when they chat, they have their name, so you can like redact their score.
I mean, we're teaching first years, and we know that they come in at a very low level, some of them, and they're guaranteed. They're guaranteed that they're not gonna understand what you're saying to them if it's outside of your lesson and stuff, and many of them aren't going to care. So I don't know. Is it something that we can't control and we should just not worry about it?
I think it's something that if it becomes a problem, then you can address it. But I think at this stage it's too early to say whether or not it's going to be an issue. Personally, I don't think that it's going to be an issue, but I think we'll just have to wait and see.
Anybody else? No?
Did we get any kind of confirmation that PKRU is doing some sort of onboarding with the students and letting them, like, telling them that they need to have their English nicknames as their usernames in there, and some sort of processes so we aren't fighting this the whole semester?
Yeah, I've gotten nothing.
Oh, okay.
So far, but this is something I think we need to address. I think we do really need to address that. Like, what are they being taught to do or not to do, how to behave or not to behave? At this point, I have no idea of student side. All I've been asked to do is to sort of run you through the technologies the technology side of things. But as I was sort of going through this, it kind of like brought up all of these questions in my head, and of course, it's a big concern, really. Some of these things, because it's going to be. It's going to be, it's going to be interesting.
Jason, can I interfere your conversation? Like, because like about students, PKIU passport, don't worry about them, because like most of them understand how to use Google Classroom and Google Meet now.
Okay, so they've had
our new students, like on 26th of this month will be induction day, and all new students need to learn all this process, like from the Google Meet and all account PKIU passport that they can get access to. So you don't need to worry about the student. The student, once you said, I have already created Google Classroom, or this is my Google Meeting link, you can get access and talk to me. They have their own account now. And the student will be S, and after that follow with the student number, S1010 something at pkiu.ac.th. So all students have their own PKIU passport. So don't worry about them. If they have any problem, you just tell them, talk to ARIT, get the account from ARIT. That's it,
Okay, so will they have their nicknames or just the student number and stuff like that?
Start with S, initial with S. S, it means student. S stands for student. S and student number at pkiu.ac.th. But you don't need to teach them, because all of them will be like, we will be responsible for telling them to use the platform. So a lot, like all faculties already asked them to distribute all this information. We have a manual for students to, a small book, lovely book, more than 30, 40 pages manual for student manual to use PKIU passport to both Microsoft and Google Passport. Students all know all this process, so don't worry about them.
Okay, well, that's good news. Thank you.
Yeah.
Peter. Then I think James, sure, what James is saying.
So James,
don't worry about the little things right now.
Yeah, that's right.
But there is one thing I'm interested in. What are we supposed to do if students come in late into the class, or stuff like that? Because we have the option. There are options that we can. As soon as the class starts, we can say, okay, we're going to limit access. We're going to restrict.
It's up to you. So this project is up to you. It depends on like the teacher. All teachers have different protocols. I have my own protocol too. If students come late, maybe there's a special mark for the. I have to say, like, for the punctuality, and all that. I can reduce the mark for that. So it's up to you. It depends on if you want to punish them, you want to reduce the score, or you want to say, hey, you are excluded for next time. I will not let you in. It's up to you.
What about attendance? Will the meeting automatically mark attendance?
Yeah, but of course, if they get into the online session that you own, that you run, they will get into the online meeting section immediately. It's different from if you use the Zoom application. Zoom application student can be in the waiting queue. You will be the one who can allow them to get access or kick them out.
Sorry, Peter. Yeah. No, the question was about attendance, because normally we grade for attendance. So if a student misses a certain number of classes, for example.
Yes, of course. It's up to you. You don't need to give a mark. It's up to you.
But if you've got 60 students in your class and you're trying to teach a class online, you're not, and the only thing that you've got is that current list, which is over here, for example.
Participants. What I normally do is I still do as what I'm in the class. Okay, I will announce, hey, listen a lot. Keep asking them, and they will be one by one. Some of them go to bed. Some of them very tricky. They go to bed, they log in and they go to bed. So they keep checking them. If they do not respond, you say, okay, you will not get marked for this. So they need to be available all the time when you announce. Yeah, there's many ways to check them. Some of them just get connect to the room and go to bed. This is what I found out. They will not give them mark.
Yeah. Okay. So So you've already taught some lessons, Peter, and yeah, because that was a worry. It's like, how do you know they're actually even paying attention? They've gone off, and
or maybe you ask them to type in, like, you know, some participants are typing in here. Yeah, you ask them to type. Are you present? Type. If they type, okay, I'm here. You keep checking them 2-3 times. Start, middle of the class, and at the end of the class, you type, and that will be record. That you can trace.
Can I ask how do we keep attendance? How do we keep attendance? I don't. It's not clear. Like, is there a system? Is it done automatically? Like, if somebody joins the meet, just how do we keep attendance?
Hello. Yeah. So, Jason, can you hear what James just said? I cannot hear properly.
I can, but as far as I'm aware, there's no option that I've come across that that keeps a record of who was in the meeting and for how long.
Meeting. Oh yes, but you can. The administrator will be the only one who can check the log. Yeah, and the log will tell what the student came in what time and get out from what time. But we cannot get access. Cannot give you the access, you know, to this right to get access. But I can check for the log, you know, for the log file for the Google Meet. I can see clearly what, like, who get into the meeting, what time and when they leave. I can check that, you know. But for you, maybe you need to do a bit,
We
keep asking them. Yeah.
We need independence in that. I think Simon. Sorry, I think it's unavailable.
Yes. So, I cannot give you the admin right, because if I can give you this right, you know, that would be perfect. So you can go to check the log file. You don't need to worry about keep asking them, you know, whether they are present in the class or not.
So I guess at this stage, Simon, it's probably a more serious issue to be addressed, in that if they want us to actually, you know, grade the students for attendance, then we're gonna need to have some kind of or be given that information at some point.
Another way, when you get access into the meeting, Google Meet, why don't you just use like spend less than 5 minutes to create a Google form that student must have their own account, and, you know, just check in via your Google form that you just create, and that's it. You know, just give the link. Hey, click the Google form and submit this, and I can trace your account immediately, whether you are the one who sign and also fill in the form or not. You know, you can just spend 5 minutes to create Google form and ask them to click the link and check, you know, check in the class. That's it. That's also another solution. You know, if you want to do this, we can play around with them.
Simon?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't get that. I just stepped away for a moment because I had a problem here.
Oh,
okay, that's
unintended.
Yeah, I was gone for like 15 seconds. So what's the deal?
Yeah.
No deal.
No deal.
No.
So we don't have attendance taken for us. We have to do it manually. Is that it?
Yeah, you can do it manually, because like you are not the administrator who can get access to the log file, but the admin can see the log file. But instead, I just told you all about the solution. You know, you can do this quite a bit tricky. You just like spend less than 5 minutes to create a Google form. You know, very simple Google form. You know, just ask student to click the link and click check in over there. So you know that what student number check in or not. You know, just put the link of Google form into the class. That's it.
Ah, okay. Actually, that's not a bad solution. Yeah. So if you create a form, but anybody can click any.
No, because in Google Form you can set record student number, record student account, email account. So it must be that student only to get to click check in.
Jess, can you make a note of that for us, please? And then we'll need to make sure everybody's familiar with that. But yeah, I think it sounds like that's a good option, Peter. Thank you.
That's right.
Yeah, and also because you can set.
There's so many ways to.
You can set the number of responses and stuff as well. That so you can't have one student click twice, for example.
That's right, Jason. Yeah, you understand it right? Yeah. If students are tricky, we need to be trickier. In order to, we have to play with them.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, so Jess, did you get that? Oh, all this.
Sorry.
Is everyone going?
I couldn't find my microphone button. I haven't been taking notes, but I've taken a note. Kate was taking notes. Adam said. So
sorry, just Kate. Sorry, Kate, did you get that?
Yep.
All right, so that's something we'll take a look at, and then try and share that information with you guys a bit later. What I'll do, I think I'll try and prepare a generic form, and then you'll just be able to input your own names and stuff within a generic form, and then you can use that as a template, and then you can use that for each lesson and stuff. So, okay, good. All right. Let's move on. There are some other issues before we move on to the next session. Like I've said, I've put this in. This is slide 19, things to consider before the class. Some of the things, I don't know, you're gonna be class management. You've got, if up to some 30 to 60 students, things will change dramatically online, of course. Things like you've got group work, feedback, you haven't got the eye-to-eye contact, you've got things like noise control. Like I said, you've got to make sure everybody's on mute, unless they're actually being addressed with. Otherwise, they're going to have their background noise and all these kind of things. Is going to be a nightmare. Awkward silences, you get those in the classroom. Those are going to be hyper extending. Those are going to be a lot. Can be quite difficult online and stuff. Once you've posed a question, perhaps to a group or to some people, and just there's no response. Right? You're not in a classroom. You don't have that kind of eye contact, stuff like this. Student activation, retaining their attention, talk time, reading exercises, participation, all that kind of stuff. So I've put this into whether you guys want to discuss this now, or do you want to just get on with the technology stuff, and then maybe we can have a chat about this later on. But there's quite a bit that's going to be difficult in these class sizes. Right, cool. All right, so let's push on. Right, part two. Where are we? Part two, somewhere. Google Classroom. Hopefully you've all got your, so we're going to be going from slide 36 now. So accessing Google Classroom, exactly the same as accessing Google Meet. They're all just extensions within the Google environment, platform. So again, have I gone? Also, actually, there's a new thing that's really annoying. It's this whole sync thing. So they've got this new sync thing, and sometimes if you have issues with some functionality, I had some issues with functionality, and whether that was that Google just introduced this, turn off sync. You can turn off sync and stuff, but you might need to log out and log back in again if that happens. Recently, it's been working fine, so I'm not sure what's going on. Accessing the classroom. So if, of course, same deal. Same deal. You've got your 9 squares up here. You go up and you're going to find it right down at the bottom here. So you can access your classroom here. I'm already here. Watch, this is you really want to get into the classroom and stuff. So the first thing that you'll see is you get your class room over here, and this is your classroom. The classroom is also available as an application, as a phone application. So they'll enter the classroom and get access on their phone. Google's created the application, and that all the functionality that you get on your computer in Google Classroom is also available in the phone app, so you don't need to worry about that. So you can, we can go over here. You know what I should have done? I should have done one of those big yellow spots for my mouse, shouldn't I? I'll do that for next time. You can create or join a class over here. So, so when you are setting up your classes, this is where you're going to come in and you're going to set up a class. So if you click on create class, then you'll create a name for your class. I don't know, comms 1 or whatever you want to call your class. You've got a section, subject, room, obviously room, whatever. These options, as in the settings for Google Meet, are available and editable in a number of places throughout that. So don't worry too much about it. Give your class a name and then get in there and create your class. Once you've created your class, it appears over here. If you go into your classroom, first thing that you see is you can change your theme. Perhaps if you want to change your theme, stuff like that. Let's go green, right? Why not? There you go. And select class theme. And that's changing. So now you've changed your theme. Nice little touch. You can also upload a photo. If you want to create some kind of photo for uploading the photo. Class management is basically over here. You see 3 lines over here, and this is how you're going to manage your classes. So if you choose your classes, now I've only got 1. So if you had a number of classes, they would appear here in your grid formation and stuff, where you can manage those things. One thing to notice: anywhere you see 3 dots, that's going to give you it's going to give you your options, and you'll see those throughout the whole thing. You've got edit, copy, and archive. If you go in, like I said, there's a number of things that will bring you back to, you know, if you want to change the name of your class or any of those kind of editable options, that's where you're going to find those. How to get students to join a class. As you said, that's there's a number of ways to do this. So if you'll go into the particular class that you want. So once you've got know which class you've got a class code here. This is a class code for that specific class. Now, if you go roll over the square and display the square, you then get a nice shiny thing. So if you're in Google Meet, you've got everybody in Google Meet, you want them to join into the classroom to get access to the materials in the classroom that you've got for that particular class, then you can just give them that. They keep these codes quite short and easy, actually, in all lowercase, which is good, because you'll be surprised how many lowercase, highercase, uppercase problems you might get. So you can, yeah. So that's I would say that's probably the best way to go about this. Join the meeting, present the meeting, then go in here and get them all into the classroom, because this is really where you're going to get that. We've got a Meet link. You won't normally see that unless you get it activated. We'll go through that. Like I said, just stop me and ask me questions as I'm going along. Student mobile view. Let me bring in this because this is what they're going to see. The students are going to see. So this is a mobile phone, right? So they'll see the class when they get logged in. They'll need to click on that button there. They'll need to join the class, obviously not creating the class, and then they'll input that class code that you've just given to them. They'll input that there. The next stage I couldn't get through to because I don't know what happened with that. There was some restriction on that. I think it's because of the way it was being done. But okay, so I would maybe advise to keep a snapshot of those three things. Take a snapshot of that part of the screen, and if anybody's having an issue, present that to them and just say, go there, put the code in there, right? And that's probably a good fail-safe way to get anybody that is having technical difficulties joining your class into the class. Changing the code or block the class entry settings. So these are settings. So this is where you can sort of start blocking and accessing, allowing access and stuff to your classroom. So we have our class details here. If we scroll down to the general tab, here you see you've got your class code, right? You can actually disable this at this point, and what that's going to do, I don't know, I mean, I'm not one of the strictest teachers, but if for some reason you don't want somebody access, maybe they've come in late or something like this, if you disable this, that's not going to allow, once you're in the classroom, right, then that's going to block anybody else from coming into the class if you disable that from there. If you reset, you're going to get a fresh code. You can copy and display that. Okay. Right, so if we go back to the classroom, where are we? We'll cancel out. Now that's, let's go over to people. Continuing on inviting stuff. So you can invite teachers. If you've got a teacher, another teacher, or that you maybe if you get a new teacher or something and they want to, so one of you guys is having some sort of success with your online classes and you've got this great technique, maybe you want to, another teacher wants to come in and sort of, see how you're actually doing that. So you can invite another teacher into to view your class. And this is another ways that you will invite students into the class. So you'll click on that. And this, of course, is maybe you've got somebody that is having difficulties getting in the class. You're not going to do this. This is a one-by-one thing. You're not going to want to do this for everybody. But maybe if somebody's having difficulties, grab their email or something. And that's another way that you might be able to bring them into the class individually. Once they are in the class, I managed to get Got and Meow to help me with this. Once they're in the class, you can click on their name. We'll come back to that actually, because that's a part of the thing. But you can that gives you some options if you click on them. Right, students joining the class. Let me get out of here. Right, and again, students, I've put this in there. This is what the students are going to see when they're joining the class, and they need to come up into that plus sign and then join the class. And then they enter the code in there. Okay, right. That's for sure. Track an individual student process. So, like I said, we had, if we went to people, we had these classes. So you can actually track individual student process progress by clicking on the name. So if you've already created some assignments for each student, and you've got this list of your students and stuff, then if you can click on their names, and you can actually start seeing some of their stuff. There's nothing that has been assigned to that particular student at this point in time, so you won't see that. Again, 1, 2, 3, everywhere you see these 1, 2, 3 vertical dots gives you some kind of option. In here, these are input. You input these by have in their email, but they'll stay there. They'll stay in your classroom. Now, if at any time you need to go back and email that individual student, then this is where you'll do that, and it's an easy way to do that. So as a suggestion, I would say that this is probably a good place to get your class leaders in, so that you can come here, go to people, just click on the students, go over here and email them, boom, it's done. And see, and this is the difference between the classroom and the meet, right? The meet is just a meeting, and once it's done, it's gone. But your classroom is where all of your information is about, you know, the whole course, everybody involved is going to be held in. Sort the student list. All right, that's the only other thing. So if you've got like a big student list, you can obviously sort from A to Z up there. And if we're moving on, our other options. So you only have 4 options in your class. Now, interestingly, they made marks. Google obviously is American, so whether this was done in the UK or not, because grades is the I think the standard American. But Stream. Now, Stream is a place where it's, I guess, consider it like a bit of a kind of Facebook thing, right? Your announcements, your attachments, your files, your URLs, your YouTube videos, all of these things for this particular class that you are in here, all right? All of these things can go in here, and this is where you and your students, if you choose, will be able to access those things. You can, so it's a stream, so you can start posting stuff in here, right, to the class. Now you can, you can choose whether you're going to post that to all students, or as you can see in my class, I currently have those 2 students there. If I want to choose them individually and post things to them, I can. You can, it gives you the option here as well, as we'll see, that you can actually, you can schedule these posts. So if you want to do a schedule of that, then we'll show you how. You say, you know, maybe I want to post something to the class like the day before the class, or an hour before the class, or something like that. You can do that. And you can also view anything that you've got coming up that you've set. You can view it all in here. Right, so let's say, for example, so you share you've got your info, whatever it is that you want to say in your post, you write that in there, and you can click on add. Now in here, so what you've got your options, so all of the kind of media that you want to add to this stream. And think about this stream, it's just this kind of stream of data in relationship to this class that is just going to come down in this stream. So for example, if we come in, we want to add, and again, Google Drive, of course, is where you keep all of your data that you collect in your management system, your personal management system. Your Google Drive is your personal management system for all of this. So you're going to have 2 Google Drives now if you've already been using Google Drive. Kate, if you could, I don't know if I'd said that before, but there is a way that's just been allocated by Google, I think, that we can now transfer data from one Google Drive into another Google Drive. I haven't had time to actually look at that. It's outside of the scope of this presentation, but there is a way, for those of you that want to go and find it out for yourself, you can transfer between Google Drives now, which is pretty handy. So we've got Google Drive. So let's say, for example, I want to add something to my post, right? And I can go, and I've got my Google Drive, and I've got, okay, there's a nice video I've got with pronunciation of the alphabet and stuff like that, and I want to add that to my Google Drive or to this stream. And info, whatever, you know, here's the alphabet video, I think. And you have some here are your options when you go into the post, if you actually want to schedule this or save it as a draft of post. So you can actually schedule this post and it'll just bring up a calendar and stuff, and then you can schedule that post, as you can see. So you just choose what scheduling date that they're actually going to get that at a time, for example. If you click post, if you want to just post it now, and there you have it. It'll go into your post with, well, the information that you typed and whatever media that you have within that post. Beware, students can comment on these posts, and again, how you're going to manage this is up to you. There are, where are they? There are options where you can edit or delete posts. For example, you might want to copy the link because you might want to, maybe keep that link and take that across to another classroom, for example, and that would be something you can do there. When you have a post from a student, let me show you just quickly. You still there? Can you make a post in the classroom? Oh, no. Forget that, God. Sorry. It would take up too much time. We have to join you and everything. So you see what I mean about background noise, right? And the fact that everyone's going to be muted. Got's clearly, he's not wearing a headset. He's got his computer. When you are just using a computer, and that's why I say get a headset yourself, because when you're just using a computer, the computer speakers are going to be picking up either fan noise, all sorts of stuff, and it's going to be, it's going to be really distracting for your students if you've got that going on. So do consider your noise as well. Right, so pushing on. So when your student actually makes a comment on that class, so if your student makes a comment, their student will come here. You will get options over here then where you can delete or you can mute that student. And so you won't delete it, but it will no longer be seen and stuff. But until I get somebody to put a comment, I won't be able to show you that. But it's in the slides there to remind you. There are also settings for limiting posts. Now, as I said, you might want to manage who's actually going to be able to post these things. So the settings, if you go up to the settings section, and right, and again down in the general tab, and class, so you can see you've got different, here's your stream, right? Because we're talking about our stream. So this is a stream. We want to access the options for our stream. Students can post and comment. Students can only comment. Only teachers can post and comment. So if you're starting to, like I said earlier on, maybe if you're not having any problems initially, then you don't feel you're having any problems, then let them get involved. And it's probably a good thing, I would say, initially. Certainly, but unless you're having some kind of issues, then you'll probably rather than stop everybody from posting, you can mute what somebody's saying. However, here you can only do things as a group, whereas back in that last option you can do things individually, edit or delete posts, or mute or delete posts. So again, my advice, let them run with it. You want to keep them activated in a topic and stuff like this, and I don't know how you might find that this is a really good option to keep open. Right, okay, so assignments, classwork. Right, yes, classwork. If we come back here, we've done stream, we've looked at people, we'll move into the classwork section. So assignments, materials, or related materials related to any assignments, course outlines, website links, videos, stuff here that that students might want to use again and again and again and again, stuff like that is quite good. So in order to create your materials, there's something I created earlier, but let's say I'll go through it again just to show you how it's working. So if you want to create, say, let's take a look at these options actually. You can create an assignment, you can create a quiz assignment, you can create a question, you can create material, or you can reuse a post if you want to reuse a post. This is a really useful link right here, topic. So let's take a look at that. And you can create a topic. Let's say, I'll just say materials 1, and click add. All right, so now we have materials, our materials section. So materials 1, and as you'll see over here, you can rename, delete, copy, or move up. Anything in here is draggable, really. In all of this classroom environment, you know, like I said, you can drag stuff around here, you can drag stuff around these windows. It's all kind of draggable, which is quite useful. So again, you've got your three vertical circles. Anywhere you see those, you've got some options for that particular thing. Right, materials. So we've got these materials. Now I've got these materials, we haven't got any lessons and stuff like this. My materials. Back. Sorry, what I probably should have done was do that. And create materials, or let's say keep that. Now what you're creating is you're creating these folders, and you'll see you'll be able to use these folders and stuff. So if we come back here and we come into create a material, now you give the materials a title, whatever you want to call that, a title or description. So you put your info in here, and then you've got your add section here, right? So you can add, again, you can add all of these things. If you want to add anything to this materials list, you can create anything at this stage as well. And you can see you've got your topic over here. Now these folders where I put this stuff before are now available over here in the topic folder. And what this is, what this really does is it gives you an option to basically keep a whole bunch of materials and stuff in one place. So you gather all of these things, and you can keep them within your classroom, within certain folders, however you kind of want to manage your system. So it's a very nice approach, and it just means that while you're in your class, you know, you're in your classroom, all of these materials are going to be available to you to just drag out and just throw out into the classroom and stuff, and so they can all see them and have access to them. So it's a very nice touch. So again, these things, I don't know how much you've used these kind of things, but these are things that you probably want to start becoming familiar with. If not, and I think that will be future lessons. So I've got these materials. Let's run through this quickly. So I can go to my Google Drive again, and I want to add some materials into my materials thing. I might want to add these slides, right? Okay, there you go. Or I might want to add a link. So if I've got something during this lesson, right? I know I'm going to teach this lesson again, and in that case, what I'm going to say, I might be using I don't know. Careful. I might be using, I don't know, alphabet soup or something, whatever. I might be giving a lesson on the alphabet using alphabet soup. So I've got this link now, right? And I can say, well, you know what? I really like the idea of this. You know, I'm being a bit ad hoc here in my classrooms. I like the idea of this. And what I can do is I can add that link into this set of materials that I'm using for this particular class, for example, right? And that's now created that link, and you can again do that with a YouTube or with a particular file if you want to upload a file. And I would say, okay, that's fine. I'm going to stick that into that folder. And if it might be for a particular student, or it might be just for all students, more likely, make sure you post it. All right. And there you go. Right. So now what we're doing here really is we're adding sort of, you know, this is where you can keep all of your assignment work as well. So this is it's a really great place. It's all within this particular classroom, so you can manage all of this material and stuff, keep it related to your assignments. You, like you said, you saw that you had the options here in order to, you know, if you come into the materials section, you know, your options to actually create this stuff. So you can, once you start creating, maybe you want to come into your classroom in the first place, create some stuff in here, save it straight into that classroom folder. Keeps everything very nicely organized. Right. Hang on. Now, where is that? Hang on. There's something I really want to show you. Actually, it's quite important. Right. So that's not what I want to do. That's not what I want to do either. I want to come into, sorry, give me a moment. I want to get to the materials. Go back. I lost that option. I'm going to slide past this. No pun intended, because I can't remember how to do it. But there is something that's quite important. You'll see on your, if you open up your slides, head down to slide 79. Where are we? So if I assignment options. Get a bit bogged down by this now. If you look on slide 79, let me pull it across so everybody can see just to be sure. When you get in, you've added these things. Oh, hang on, sorry. Yeah, I think we want to create an assignment. So if you're creating an assignment, use original reports for this. Original reports compare text from Google Documents. Right. These if I don't know how you want to police this kind of thing, but if you've asked them to do an assignment, I don't know how, where you have these things called bots, right, which traverse the internet, and they can very, you know, in a blink of an eye go through thousands of websites and look at all the information and find any matching information. the stuff that's like pretty much exactly the same as what's been written. So if somebody's turned in some work for you, right? The originality report, so this assignment, actually this bot just travels across and just checks on how that's actually, how original that is. And you can turn that on there or have it off if you choose to. So what did I do with my slides? Right, so let's add something in an assignment, like whatever. Yeah, there we go. Right, this is the important thing I really wanted to point out. You're now creating an assignment for them to do. You have your originality that you can check whether when they turned it in, whether it's, you know, basically they've just copied and pasted off the internet or something like that. But we have this information that we put online, and the options you have over here to the right are quite interesting. You have 3 options. You have student can view the file. So when you give this to your students, right, they have no editing ability within this file at all. It's just something for them that you want it to view, of course. The second option you have is students can edit the file. Now, it creates a single document, right, for student collaboration. So what's going to happen is when you click on this, if you created a document, I haven't created a document, I don't know if I just added a document, just upload. I don't have a document to upload, but if you uploaded a document, for example, from your Google Drive, I don't have any documents in here, so I can't upload one, but if you did, you'd come here, you'd see these options. If you wanted each student individually to have this assignment, and so they go through and do this assignment themselves, that's the option that you need to click and make sure that is the second option there. All students basically can edit the file. The third one, no, sorry, I've gotten that wrong. No, the third one is that's going to make a copy for each individual student. The second one here is basically for collaboration. So if you perhaps want a group of students to work on an assignment together, then this is the second option that you're going to click here. It's detailed on that slide, so you won't get confused. I just did. But you can look at that there, and they'll have editing ability, but they'll all have editing ability. Now, if they're presumably they'll be in the same location when they're doing that. If they're not in the same location, I'm not sure how that's going to work because they might be writing over each other's work. So again, there's some management issues how you're going to manage that. But definitely something to be aware of. Assign scheduling and topics. Where are we at? Slide 80. We're almost there. We're almost there, guys. Are you still with me? It's all quiet. No questions?
I have questions, but I was waiting till the end.
All right, sweet. Yeah, we're almost there, Adam. So to assign scheduling and topics. So once you've got your assignment in there, you've got over. Let's take a look at some of the options that we've got here. You can schedule it and you can set certain topics and stuff. So you can come. You've got your due date when it's due. Topic: create materials, resources. If that's valid, you've got a rubric here. Now, as far as I'm aware, the university standard thing is that you don't rubric, you don't change anything and stuff. But this is not a can of worms I'm going to go into in this lesson. One, because of time, of course, but it's something you'll need to address if you want instruction on that kind of thing, and then we'll go through that at that point. So is this for all students or in particular students? Pretty much the same options you go through, and you just go through and choosing the options for that particular assignment. Now, I can't go into this anymore in terms of what this is. This is because we haven't got one turned in, but after the students turn in an assignment, let me show you the slides. This is what you're going to see. And you'll see here, the first thing that you'll see is like the number of students that have turned in the assignment. So you've got 2 students, for example, that have turned in this this assignment, whatever stuff. And then you, once you click on that, that number of students, it'll open up this window here, and you will see the individual students. Now, if you click on one of these individual students, then you'll come up to a window like this. And this is quite good in over here, because if you click on the arrow here, you can then choose which student you want to look at individually, rather than having a whole bunch of tabs like across the window over here and stuff, which is great. So you can just say, okay, this one's, and it tells you whether they're turned in, what the status is, stuff like this. So if they haven't turned one in, for example, of course it's not going to be there, but if they've turned in, click on this. You'll see their particular assignment for them. Their information over here. There's a nice little button over here you can see, which creates a bank of comments. And if you click on the addition sign here to add to bank, why is that useful? Because if you, maybe not so much for short comments, if you just say like, hey, good, and you can see that if you click on that and you've got the good comment and stuff, but maybe if you have some comments that are kind of generic and a bit longer and stuff, add them to that bank, and then you can just click on them. That will copy it to your clipboard, and then you can just paste that into to their comment section, which is here. You've got your grades here. You've chosen to have that 1 out of 100, so you just add in your grade and everything, put any private comments that you want there. From your bank or whatever, and make sure you click return, otherwise it won't go register, won't be registered in the system. So teacher view of assignments after grades given. You can get some after the grades have been given and stuff. You can see comments or any of the associated attachments. You've got filters over here, which is handy if you're just searching for, you want to see all those that are returned with a grade, or maybe there are some that are missing from your student list, and you can just click that and immediately you can see who hasn't turned in their assignment, which is pretty handy, to be honest, rather than chasing. It's a much better way than the brick and mortar process. Right, so marks or grades if you're an American. Once you click on the grades section, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see a list of all of these. You get a class average. You see a list of each student with their grade. Whether you can copy that column and then presumably you can actually order this as well, the same way that you'll be able to drag and drop. So you'll be able to drag and drop this. So advice. You've got the PKRU website where you need to input all of that data, you know, if you can just order this the same you order that, and then just, you know, it'll be easier to sort of take that across into the PKRU system. Right, okay, that's it. Now, Simon, to address your question, Google Meet and Classroom integration. This is a very recent function of Google Meet integration. So we're in our classroom, right? You can go up into your settings up here. And now we'll come past general. And now we have Meet. Now this is, like I said, this has only just been added, so this is a great thing. You have, I can't remember what you generally, I think you get, before you actually do anything, it says generate a Meet link. So you click on that, it generates that Meet link. Visible to students or not is something. The word of advice for today would be don't have it visible to the students. One, because they're all going to be running into that classroom anytime they want, and you might want to control that. Maybe you might want to be able to get into the classroom before they do, and if that's how you choose to do it, then deactivate that. Once you click on that, then they will then have access to the class. If they're trying to access it, even if they have the code and that's not activated, they cannot access the class. So if you do get a bunch of students, you've given them a code they can't access, then you'll need to come into the settings here and make sure that that is, if you've gone through the classroom for the Meet, you'll need to make sure that that is activated before anybody can enter the class. Right, and then once you've done that, don't forget to click the Save button at the top once you've activated everything, and then those settings will be saved. What you will see at that point is, if we come out and we come to the classes, come into the classroom, that's when this, that's when this link then comes visible. So that's another way that you can actually generate that link within the classroom. So, and these would be my preferred methods. You know, click that if you've given them, you've already got Meet, they're already in the class, in the Meet sort of thing. You click that, and then they will be able to access into this classroom and get all of this data within the classroom that you want them to. That's it. That's it. Sorry, I've gone a bit over time, but that is it in a nutshell.
All right. Is the question time?
Yeah, it is.
All right. Could you walk me through exactly, like, I saw how you like did everything and like went through the functionality, but how would you set up a one class? Like, so you have like the Google Hangout or the Google Meet as like the streaming for like the lesson that you're going to be teaching. And then you have the Google Classroom with all the materials in it. So how do you combine the two actively in one, whatever, 2-hour class? Like, are you jumping back and forth? Or are you doing like the streaming and you're like referencing like, okay, class, go to this activity or whatever that's on the classroom? Like, could you like just show us exactly how they would like work together succinctly?
Right, let's get you guys joining a class. Okay, so we've, I don't want to be in this one. So let's say, for example, you'll come to your classroom, right? You'll have your bunch of classrooms over here and stuff. We know that we've just activated all of this stuff. So what I can do now is I can invite you by, if you right click and save that link, or right click, so I should say, and copy the link address. No, hang on, I'm forgetting how to do this.
And so it's the same link every time for the same classroom? You aren't having to redo a link or anything?
I think you can reset the link, but if you go back to, if you go back there and to the settings and general, and here's your Meet class. So in here, okay, you have a reset link. So okay, you can reset that there. So I'm now here, right? So what I've done is I've gone from the classroom. I've gone from the classroom, and you have this link here, right? And that will, if you, let me do this again. So when you click on that link there will take you into the classroom, into the meeting directly from the classroom. So it's now integrated into your classroom, and you can join that classroom and present from there, right? So if I now join in that classroom, right, you've got all the options that we had before, right? And this is obviously giving you, it's giving you no option to name that, that's, it's not like, I think if what you are asking, it's not like it's actually within the classroom itself. So you kind of got that thing into that window integrated into your classroom and stuff. As far as I know, that's not a capability of it. It's pretty much you're going to be as I've been doing today. You can integrate these slides. If you're doing a split screen or something like that, you have to be aware of which screen is doing what. So you can totally integrate the slides and stuff. That would be like if you're presenting. So I'm not doing that one, am I? Well, I've got so many of them open now. I'm not sure which one. So if I were now to say, okay, I'm presenting, I want to stop presenting, you know, I've got my slides open on the other on my other screen, for example. If you click on a window, you can see that I've got the slides right here, and you can now, you should.
Okay, cool.
Get access to that.
Okay. And then in the slides are saved in your Google Classroom for that specific day of the class. Is that correct?
Whenever you enter this classroom, all of the things, so if you go back to, this is your club, remember this is the management section over here on the left, right?
Yeah.
So you will have a bunch of classrooms here that you set up, right? So for example, you might have, it depends how you, it's, you know, it's a system that can be used in many different ways, which is the beauty of it, right? So, but that means there's a bit of a learning curve, and it's like how you choose to do that is going to depend upon your own preferences. You might have this classroom here, for example. Within that classroom, you know, that might be for your entire, you know, semester, for example. Well, that just might be one individual lesson, and you want to choose to keep it that way. I would personally, I don't know. Yeah, I would go the longer way, but
yeah.
But and then you just, like I said, the good thing about this is, so if you've got the, you know, so if you've got this would be, I don't know, say you're teaching comms engineering and you're teaching comms tourism and you're teaching comms this, right? There, you know, now you might want to use sort of more specific, you know, materials and stuff, or you might not want to. If you don't want to, you just want to teach like a generic kind of English thing that goes across all of the comms classes, then you really only need one classroom, and you put all of, and the good thing about this, like I said, you've got these options here where you've got your classwork, right? This is where all of your material stuff is going to go, right? And then this is where you're going to sort of, this is really the workhorse section, right? Where everything's going to kind of come from here if you want to make it easy for yourself, really. So all your you can, and even when you're not teaching, you know, you're going to create you can create your assignments here. So you come in, you'll create your assignments, stuff like that, and then you'll be able to use all of those within. So and so basically this is the repository for however you choose to manage it.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so just to kind of go back a little bit, so if you were going to teach a class, would you lecture in the beginning, send them to the classroom, have them do some work, and then bring them back to the meeting and kind of wrap it all up and go over the assignments? Does that make sense?
You're the teacher, so it's up to you how you kind of want to go about this. How would
going back and forth between programs, I mean, we're probably going to lose some folks going to classrooms. So to jump back into meeting again, I don't know. Is that feasible? What do you think?
Well, here's the thing. So if like I'm presenting, right? So you're seeing everything that I've got on my screen. You see what I mean? Now, the options that you have in the classroom, you know, you've got options in that you've got these tabs open anyway. So as soon as you're presenting, as long as your presentation has got, you've got these options here, then they're going to see everything that you see anyway, and you can just tab across everything like this and show them. You know, and like I said, you've got the all of the extensions. So if you've got your whiteboard and stuff like this, so there's not really any kind of jumping in and out and stuff. It's more of a Oh, well, I suppose you could call it jumping in and out, really, but
because they do have to move from one platform to the other to get the assignment, right? That's what I'm gathering. Like, after you give your lecture, then you're saying, you know, here's the link to go get your classroom assignment, correct?
yeah, but this is all stuff that's kept there, so they'll just be able to, you know, like I said, you'll be able to allocate this stuff to them. So once you create that, like you go in, you'll create an assignment and stuff, you give it your points, stuff like this, put whatever information it is, it will go to all students. And in that case, then once you assign that, they then receive that from their Google account. You can remember that they've also got a Google account, which gives them access to all of these things that a Google account therefore gives you access to, which is, you know, all of these, the Gmail, the, you know, the Drive, everything like that. Therefore, that's all accessible to them. And how they actually receive it from here, I don't know. Presumably, it will get put into the Drive, I suppose. But it's all integrated from the classroom. That's the idea of this. That's why when you assign that, you assign it to how many students. So test and run, Si.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
That's all right.
Do you know if there's any way to like automate if we put assignments up and it's graded through Google Quiz or Google Forms? Is there any way to automate it to our attendance sheet so that we don't actually have to grade it?
That's going to come in your Google Forms. So let's open a Google form, for example. If I was going to create a form, so you're coming, of course, you're going to do this before your class. Google Forms, awesome, absolutely awesome. Anyway, in terms of it's going to give you a lot more power as a teacher. So you'll come in, I don't know, you might want to create some sort of question, whatever it is. That question might be a multiple choice question. So kind of questions and answers and stuff like that. So you'll create this quiz. Right now, actually, unfortunately, I don't have a document that will say. All right, let me run into.
But you can link the Google form that you create to the class, and it'll automate with your students. Like if you put the role. Oh, I see. If you put the role in the Google Forms and you connect the student ID numbers and or the student English names or both.
As far as I'm aware, it's a very good question actually. But as far as I'm aware, there is no option to automate that process from a form to your final scores. Interesting question. Kate, did you get that one?
Oh, she got it. She's listening.
All right, cool. Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. As far as I'm aware, no. But yeah, that would save a load of time.
yeah, that'd be a game changer.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, I can't imagine they've done that though.
Okay.
I can't imagine how they would do that.
I'll look into it. I mean, we like through PKRU, we have the paid, so we should have all the functionality that's offered within the Google Education platform, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Once you just need to make sure you are logged into your PKRU account, not your personal one, because you want to.
Okay, that's good. So just to sum it up, like Classroom is basically like where you park like whatever you're assigning the kids, and then you can interact with the students, and you can interact with the students from there.
Exactly. Think about it like it's your course management. Your course management section, really. You know, the meet, really, like I said, I would just use that just for the meeting, you know, just for connecting visually to the students. or audio and video. That's really all it's for. There are like in part 1, and you'll see when you go through those slides, you know, like I said, there are options to do some stuff in there, but I wouldn't do that, you know, because one, you're gonna be then, okay, I've got some material here, but it's ephemeral. It's going to disappear as soon as you get rid of Google Meet. Whereas in your classroom, that's going to hold all of your data for the course, right? Therefore, that's really the place that you want to keep that data in. Okay. Actually, I've just had a thought about what that last question that you did ask. And when you have a Google Doc and you've created that stuff and you go on to send, what am I talking about here? When you go to, you have options to export this, right? When it's finished and stuff. It's been a while now. When you go here, once it's up and running, you'll see. Have a look in there, right? There is a it's in responses, right? So once you go into the responses, once you get all the responses, and this is why this is great, because you can see all the stats as well. So you can see if you've done a Google Forms, you get immediate feedback on these stats. You can look at where maybe you haven't taught a point very well and stuff like this. So you can then maybe throw that back into your next lessons and sort of reiterate on that kind of stuff. But then once you've finished, you've got all your responses from this assignment, right? You go, okay, great. Click on the create a spreadsheet, and you create a new spreadsheet, which is an XML file. And then so if I went in here and I created a new spreadsheet, for example, it now opens the Google spreadsheet. And what you have is you have all of your columns with all of your names and all of their grades and stuff like this. And then you can reorder these. So you might want to go from, so if you've got your student list that you know that you want to take this data and input this data into another student list, you could sort it so that you got it into the correct order that matches with this other list, copy and paste it then into the other list, the other XML file, for example. There's some, if you want to ask me, I've got some coding that can match columns from one into columns from another, just to make sure that you've got all your students in the correct order and stuff with these two separate files. I'll give you that code if you're interested, but that probably, as far as I know, is the only way that you're going to get these scores out at this point. I don't think they'll be linked.
That's good. That's cool.
Yeah. Questions? Right, Q&A sessions, slides, preparations, speaking. I don't know. Does anybody want to talk about what they think we're going to do in terms of if you're doing speaking exercises or speaking assignments? First thing I'll say is that you do have audio in these Google Docs and stuff, so you can add some audio. That audio, what you have to do is you have to put audio files, put the audio files of you speaking. If you want to do a listening, for example, put the audio files of you speaking or some audio file, and you have to put that onto your Google Documents, but you could now put that into your Google Class somewhere, and then you create a link from that, and you put the link into the Google Docs here, and then when they come through this assignment, they'll click on that link, and they will automatically start playing that listening for this. So you can actually do a listening thing in here as well. I don't think they have record, so I don't think you can do any recording. At this point. Okay, so
Nice.
Thank you, Jason. You are the man, Jason. Thank you very much. Anyway, thank you, Jason. Really, you know, I have listening. I have been listening to what you giving like all of the participants knowledge about using the online platform. Is, you know, you see, I chose the right person. You know, I'm so happy. Yeah. So anyway, this video I think God gonna upload to YouTube, so that you can replay anytime. It will be, yeah. So this video gonna be uploaded to YouTube in the PKR ARIT channel.
Okay.
And we gonna
sounds like you want to make me famous.
Yes, indeed. And we're
destroy my career.
And we're gonna publicize this video on our Facebook fan page, and also the university too. You know, this is probably very, I have to say, the first KM ever that we invite, you know, foreign teacher who's capable of, like, you know, who are knowledgeable in something, and to educate other foreign staff, you know, and exchange knowledge. I think there are many, I have to say, like, you know, professional people in here. Like, I think the ones who used to be the manager of human resources. I think Kate, is that Kate? Yeah, I think Kate. Is it Kate? Manager of human resource, you know.
Yes.
There's so many things that, yeah, you see, I still remember. So, you know, your knowledge is going to be quite, I'm sure, awesome, like, splendid to everyone, you know, to exchange the knowledge. Maybe who know if this kind of practice is like goes well, we can apply it to, I think it's going to grab public attention, maybe from outside university too. You know, we're going to get famous, and then everyone gonna be well known in Phuket. But anyway,
good.
Let's finish.
Famous,
like God gonna upload to the YouTube, and you can replay it anytime, you know, on the channel, and we're gonna publicize it on Facebook fan page, on the ARIT website, and also the university page too. If they allow us to, like, you know, they want to show that, hey, look at our international staff, they have KM, you know, knowledge management practice, and this is very good. Yeah.
Okay, so you can make that available for everybody.
Yes, of course. Okay. And thank you very much, all of you. At least today, I'm so happy. Or like, how many? You see, 4. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so many. Yeah. So, thank you very much, Jason. Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that you.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, thank you everyone for your time. Yeah.
Thanks for your questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Actually, it's supposed to be 2 hours. Look at Jason. He gave 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in trouble now.
Yeah, and we have to make this video famous, of course. This is the first time. I'm sure not only PKRU, you know, like, first time for many other university too. Like, if they see this, they're gonna follow us. Hello, Femi. Do you have any question?
No.
Okay, Femi. Okay, bye, Femi. Yeah.
Okay. If anybody has any follow-up questions, perhaps if you if you wouldn't mind, maybe accepting some follow-up questions or something like that, and then we can start making a list of those and maybe addressing those.
God, you know, you have to, like, maybe ask Jason to try, like, our English discovery platform, and if he is skillful in this, he can be an instructor, and we can maybe ask more, like, we can give you some pocket money to spend at least. You see, I will not use you for free, of course, you know, because you are knowledgeable of in IT, you're knowledgeable in IT, so that's why you can, once you touch the application, you know how to do it so well. And not only that, you can educate all these people, you know, all your friends, how to pay your friend to be able to use this, the wonderful platform that we pay a lot of money to Israel, to Germany, and also to Microsoft, to Google. You know, you can learn all this and educate them. And you know what?
Yeah, the Google Classroom is a good thing. It is a really good
thing. Google is very good, easy to use. But anyway, yeah, Jason.
All right.
You are Jason Bourne. Jason Bourne. Bourne legacy. Okay, thank you. But Jason, appreciate. I really appreciate, Jason. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Or maybe you want to give a talk about the digital money platform also. Maybe give you a session.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, interesting one. Yeah, but anyway, thank you, Jason.
Another day.
Yeah, another day. Yeah, why not?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.